welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
Oh, yeah. We just went and saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in theaters, and no, this is not 1981.
Time traveling podcast.
And, you know what I mean? Like, there's something just special about that. Like, you can see that movie, I mean, think about it. How many times have you watched that movie your whole life on VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, and, well, I've never watched it on Blu-ray yet. I've never had that experience. I've stuck with my DVD collection.
And it's one of those things I've seen the movie so many times. And, you know, I was kind of like going in, just going me around. I'm totally glad we saw it in theaters, but it was almost like, when's this part coming up again? Oh, yeah, this part right here. But I will say that watching it definitely kind of reaffirmed, like, oh, yeah, this is one of the reasons why Spielberg's the best.
Oh, yeah. And you need those reminders, like, every once in a while. It's like, you know he is, but each and every time that you watch a Steven Spielberg movie, especially the magical ones, there's something to be said about, like, dude, this movie is fucking awesome. And seeing, like, Indiana Jones on the big screen, you know, you get to see all the little extras and all the background characters and all the fun stuff they did. And we were literally shoved, like, in the most front seat known to mankind, but at least they had the best, like, leaning back chairs. So it made it like the Indiana Jones IMAX experience.
Well, I'll say watching this movie again, 'cause, you know, I've seen the movie 1,000 times, and, you know, I like it a lot, but I'll be honest, I haven't really seen it since probably a little before Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because the thing about that was we were just getting all amped up for that movie, and we were just rewatching a lot of them.
We were kind of like romanticizing that, about like that's probably the most amped up experience I think we've ever had for a movie, beyond even Dark Knight. I feel like Indiana Jones 4 was just so extreme, and
I walked out of Dark Knight happy.
Yeah, but I was like before. I'm saying before.
But the thing about it is, I think
we like Crystal Skull probably more than like 95% of the world.
I like it. It's not like amazing. Here's the thing about it. It's one of those movies I lied to myself, tell myself it was amazing, and then I thought about certain things. I'm like, all my gripes. All right, now bad CG ants and like fucking weird CG chase scene through the jungle.
That's almost like, I feel like that's almost like minor, you know, for me even.
The big one for me, the big stuff. It's almost the shit that like everyone was all blown away about the whole fucking refrigerator thing. Like, well, if anybody could have survived an atomic blast inside of a lead refrigerator, it's Indy.
Yeah, that part it was like, yeah, okay, Indiana Jones, I get it.
It was more just trying to force the whole like Rebel Without a Cause thing with Shia LaBeouf, and then I don't know. It got a little silly, but it was one of those things where we're going into that movie. We were just, keep in mind, this is like, I was probably 21, 22, something.
What year was this, 2008?
This is 2007 or 2008, actually. It'd be 2008, so I was probably 21 or 22. Going in and seeing that, just, you know, just so excited. Just like, oh my god, it's Indiana Jones, it's Indiana Jones. We were all getting excited. Like, you and Cisco were both kind of dressed as Indiana Jones. It was a midnight premiere.
Yeah. I had like a half-assed Indiana Jones costume on.
Cisco went the full distance, and I was just kind of like, I'm just getting so amped up for Indiana Jones right now. It was almost becoming like this primal level, and I was thinking like, there's Blockbuster across the street. They're selling Indiana Jones swag, like a fucking Indiana Jones hat and a fucking vest. Maybe I should run over there. Oh no, they're already closed. I can't do it. Shit, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? They're going in there, and then the guy there, you and me, were way more amped up than anybody else. There's a guy there.
Probably everybody thought we were like doing fucking cocaine beforehand, like getting the full 80s Indiana Jones experience.
Gritting teeth, like Indiana. Where you got that shit? And then all of a sudden, like, we're going in through the line, and as we're going in, there's a guy who's just like, hey guys, I got some Indiana Jones trading cards. Trading cards!
We like freak out, we like spin, and we yell this like on top of our lungs, and this guy fucking flies backwards in his seat like we are gonna fucking mug him and like take all that he owns.
And then the thing is like, oh awesome! We pick up the packages. I wanted anything that resembled Indiana Jones right now. I was just so amped up for Indiana Jones, so you just slap it onto anything. You're like, we got Indiana Jones pregnancy test! Pregnancy test!
Hell yeah! Just like fucking like drinking it, like that's not how it works, but okay.
Alright, good, well, you found a way, good for you. And then, and the guy's like, oh, it's $2 each, like, oh, fuck that, just moved on to the next thing.
It was like the $2 was what was ruining, like, I thought that like that guy was making our day so magical by saying like, guess what, you get some fucking free trading cards, you know, how much more magic is this? You know what, Harrison Ford, he's gonna come by and sit down next to you, and you know what, he's got a bag of Doritos, and you can eat it with him!
He's gonna feed you the Doritos while you watch the movie.
Exactly. And the little monkey from the first one didn't die, apparently, and he'll feed you from the other side.
You see eating a Dorito, it just falls over dead. Not that bag!
Bad dates.
Bad Doritos. Yeah, going and seeing that though, there was like good memories attached to that because after that movie, well, we get out like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the
Oh
morning.
yeah, because this is still back in the day when they did midnight premiere. See, it's almost like they haven't done that in so long. They're like, oh yeah, that was a midnight premiere. That's probably why we're also like twice as jacked. We're probably like hopped up on Redline or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And we get out of the theater like around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're just kind of hanging out like in the parking lot, bullshitting about like fucking like what Dark Knight's like, assuming what's gonna happen in Dark Knight or what Dark Knight was gonna be.
Is that the time that we went and hung out with Dylan like in the fucking park afterwards?
Yeah, actually it was. Yeah, to narrow it down to the like 3 people listening, like, oh, I know Dylan.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. I remember because like we had this long fucking drawn out conversation afterwards. Like this is something I cannot imagine doing nowadays. Like the idea of staying up that late just for the heck of it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, not because it's like you have to work or not because you have to do something. Like literally being like, yeah, we're just gonna stay up late. You know, why not?
Got all this Indiana Jones energy going. We were going out like, no, it was really, really good. It was really good, like forcing a smile. Looking back, I enjoy the movie, but I'm just still like, because there are things in that movie that I think people don't give it credit for. But there are other things about it where you're just like, yeah, I mean, he's good in other stuff now, but Shia LaBeouf really kind of like slows the fucking movie down.
Yeah, well, because that was the point too where Shia LaBeouf hadn't won me over yet. He's won me over now, like, and I think it was
Fury.
Well, before Fury, that's a good one with him too, but was fucking the one with Tom Hardy in it.
Oh, Lawless.
Yeah, Lawless. That was the one that kind of was like, well, I'll take that. That one and Wall Street 2 were the ones where it was like the changing point for me and Shia LaBeouf. Mm-hmm. And from that point on, I kind of accepted him. And I can even kind of go back to sort of older movies and go, oh, okay, you know what? He's an okay fella, you know? But this Indiana Jones kind of the point where it's like, oh, Shia LaBeouf is his son. If anybody's his son, it shouldn't be Shia LaBeouf. Come on.
I was thinking of Emil Hirsch.
Yeah, exactly. Emil Hirsch would be good in like almost anything, and they barely use him in a whole lot.
Well, I think Speed Racer didn't help his career, and then on top of that, I want to say that he assaulted a lady like at some kind of like big film festival, and I don't know what over, but then he had to go to jail for a little while. For a minute, he was going to be John Belushi in Method Act and put on a bunch of fucking weight, but yeah.
For what, Blues Brothers?
Just a John Belushi movie. Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
There's only one man that could handle Blues Brothers 3.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? That was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, that's what he's doing?
He's just out like in a fucking, just like you see like a Black Hawk helicopter coming down. He's out there with a big beard chopping wood. Like, we need you. Like, I don't act no more. Something only someone of your caliber can do. I told you Speed Racer was my last one. I want you to play John Belushi. Just drops the axe like, wins the job.
Like almost like getting Solid Snake back in the game kind of thing.
Exactly.
But
because he's a good actor. He's
a super actor for like the 3 or 4 movies I've seen him in, and I really like those ones. Like Into the Wild.
He does. Well, he's also now just a lot of like side supporting characters. Like he was in that Marky Mark Afghanistan movie. Where they're like tumbling down a mountain for like half of it.
Oh shit!
Lone Survivor.
Yeah, Lone Survivor. I forgot he was in that one.
Yeah, I think he was the first guy to go. He was the guy who's engaged. Who's engaged is always the first to go.
You know, that's why you shouldn't get engaged if you're going in the military.
Yeah.
Movies have taught us anything that guy's always gonna die.
Other guys were either single or already married. Now I want to say Ben Forrester, who's one of my favorite actors, died in that movie. Still, it's called Lone Survivor. Yeah, Ben Foster. Yeah. Ben Foster died.
Call Lone Survivor. Who do you think's fucking surviving?
Good on the picture. And they don't make it hard to narrow down on that.
You know, one of those things.
What is kind of the exception of that is kind of a collection of a lot of my favorite actors in that movie. But
I kind of forgot all the other people in it. But yeah, there is a lot of good people in that
there's who's the guy? I mean, this guy's not my favorite actor. He's the guy who's John Carter. He's not a bad guy, not a bad actor. He just never jumped out at me. Taylor Kitsch.
Oh yeah.
He was John Carter. He was Gambit.
See, I don't like that guy. I even like that Gambit. I know people always put that Gambit down. I'm like, shit, if that's the only Gambit we're getting, I am accepting that until we get a better one. You know what I mean?
Channing Tatum's been trying to tease that for years. But
I know, it's like Channing Tatum, like once I saw fucking Hateful Eight, I was like, oh my god, he's practicing his Gambit in this movie.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
I can imagine him saying Mon Ami and all that a lot.
Yeah, he was getting the Cajun accent down and everything for that film, so it's just like, I think he'd be a perfect Gambit, but until we get to that point, that's just kind of what happens.
Who knows what's going to happen? A lot of those a lot of those Fox deals probably fell through once Disney acquired 20th Century.
Yeah, now it's kind of getting tossed up in the air between like other companies and so on. So it's this weird like mishmash of like who's trying to outbid who right now.
My question is, what the fuck's gonna be this New Mutants thing? Because that was a thing. They're trying to start a new franchise. We're hearing some about New Mutants. Never heard anything about it. The movie didn't look good to me, but
yeah, I haven't heard anything about that since that trailer came out like a year ago almost. By now, it seems like.
Yeah, I got pushed back, and to be honest, it did not look that good to me. It just looked like Blumhouse presents an X-Men movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely not.
Could be good.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, like I'll say, it's X-Men. I'll see anything X-Men. I have no problem seeing that. So, but different take. Well, whatever. Who knows? Sometimes bad trailers turn out to be good movies, especially if they have a horror movie kind of vibe. Horror movies always have the worst trailers. I always think, unless they're maybe old horror movies, but.
I don't know, just look at it. I mean, never read New Mutants, but look at an image of the comics of New Mutants and look at that trailer. I don't see a fucking comparison.
Yeah, weird stuff there. It was kind of funny. It's about like the last, maybe it's been about a month by now, but I've just been like in like a 007 marathon. And I don't really know what really spawned it necessarily. Maybe I think it's like I wanted to play one of the 007 games, and I finally played the game, and the next thing I was like, well, if I'm playing the game, I guess I kind of start watching some of the movies and so on. And I think I've gone through about 13 of the movies right now. And my record of watching 007 movies, I think, was 17. That was the most amount I ever watched in one marathon. Because most of the time I just kind of watch. The way I sort of watch is, you just watch a handful. It can be anywhere from 5 movies to maybe 11 movies or something like that. And then like the next time like I have another 007 marathon, whether it be a year later or so, it's like then I just start watching all the movies that I didn't previously watch the first time, and then it's kind of like they just sort of rotate as like years go on, and you kind of like go through them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I never really did a marathon. I actually, feel during the Thanksgiving marathons I have once in a while, but beyond that, it was one of those things you're watching it more of just like. In order, or just like, I like this one, or I feel like that one, or I feel like this one?
What I did, because I was playing the game, so I want to play Everything or Nothing again. So I was playing that one, which put me in a Pierce Brosnan mood. So I watched the Pierce Brosnan ones backwards. I watched them from Die Another Day back to GoldenEye. And one of those ones, like, the more I watch Die Another Day, that is literally, I'll say this, that is in my top 10 favorite 007 movies, if not, like, I'll say it's getting close to, like, my top 5. I like it that much. Not probably top 5, but, like, number 6 or 7. It's my second favorite Pierce Brosnan movie. It's so good, and I feel like people always bring up, they're like, oh, the CG when he was surfing and the superhero part at the end. I'm like, that's like 2 small parts, and that's not really like the worst. I mean, here's the thing: the CG surfing thing, that's all of like maybe like 20 seconds. It's really not that much of a movie. That doesn't really bring it, you know what I mean? If you think about it, like, does 20, 30 seconons really bring down a movie? No, not really. It's 007, like, whatever. It's experimental in 2001 or 2003 when the movie was put together. No, it was 2001. Shit. World's Not Enough's 99. So, maybe 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. I remember it was a couple years, like, later than normal schedule. But the rest of the movie, I think it's got the fucking ballsy intro where it's like he's in North Korea and so on. Then he goes to fucking prison for a year, and then he comes out, and then he's almost like a rogue agent, and he's got to go to Cuba. It's like, I like so much of that stuff in that movie that I think it's a totally awesome Bond movie. Yeah, it's like there might be a couple like a little bit more over the top parts, and it does have kind of like, you know what's popular? X-Men. let's get a character in there who's kind of X-Men like. You know what I mean? He's got like a suit on and things like that. It's almost like proto Iron Man before like they made an Iron Man movie. They're like, let's do an Iron Man character in.
I remember seeing that suit like, what? This is a Bond movie? Well, here's the thing about that movie. I remember it being kind of like, maybe this is why you like it so much. And this isn't me trying to insult it, but I think it's kind of like a Pierce Brosnan version of a Roger Moore movie.
Well, that's the thing, is that the Die Another Day, I feel like it's like Bond as fuck. Like, that's how that movie's kind of played out. Like, it's like as Bond as you can get. And I think for some people, that's almost like a little too intense for them. And that's why they don't like it too much, maybe? I don't know. But, like, for somebody who likes Bond because of the gadgets and likes Bond because of, like, the action and likes Bond because of that kind of stuff, I feel that one really delivers. And I will say, yeah, you gotta be kind of into the Roger Moore type stuff. And that's my favorite Bond anyways, is Roger Moore. And I like Moonraker and Spy Who Loved Me a lot and so on like that. So that's probably in View to a Kill and things like, there. So that probably made me, like, Die Another Day that much more.
I don't know. I've seen that one, like, 2 or 3 times. And I I just don't like it. And it's not one of those things. Like, I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a diehard Bond fan like you are. Like, I don't feel the need to own every movie. I'll like see I'll see the Bond movies as they come out, and then I'll kind of like fish around like what's a good old one? Because I haven't seen all the Bond movies. I've seen most of them, but not all of them. I've seen the one George Lazenby one. That's
my top 5 favorite Bond movies.
I've seen
Honor Majesty's Secret Service.
I've seen 2 or 3 more ones. I even have one or two of them. I've seen all those. I've seen all the Pierce Brosnan, all the Sean Connery. I have not actually seen any of the Charles Dalton. Charles Dalton, Roger Dalton or Daltrey. Or, I don't know.
Now you make me think of like Roger Daltrey from The Who.
Oh,
no, Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton.
You threw me off there for a second. When you said that, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know. He's old and British. I get him mixed up.
I'll say this: if Roger Daltrey would have played a Bond back in the day, I think that would have been fucking awesome.
I don't know which one he looks. I don't even know who he looks like.
He's the singer of the big blonde curly hair from The Who.
I thought that was Peter Townsend.
No, that's the guitar player.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, here I am fucking up. Okay.
But the Timothy Dalton ones are really good too, and those are kind of Bond movies that people either really like them or they're not really their favorites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like both of those a lot. And right after I watched the Pierce Brosnan ones, I went backwards again. I watched both the Timothy Dalton ones, License to Kill, and The Living Daylights, and I love both of those ones a lot, especially Living Daylights, because that has like my favorite Bond vehicle. That black Aston Martin, so cool, and so on like that. I know that's also not really like people's like favorite Bonds, but
well, my thing is how many times have they tried to spin off like, oh, this time he's doing this, like, well, he already did that kind of like a few movies back. Because thinking back, Quantum of Solace, they're like, he's gone rogue, and I want to say Skyfall, he faked his death, and then we get to I think Spectre, I might be wrong. I've only seen that one once, and that one didn't really jump out to me. I want to say that it's like, is he gone rogue again, or is it? Yeah, he's gone rogue again in Spectre.
He's because he's following M's orders, but not new M's orders.
Yeah, he's not following Ray Fiennes or whatever.
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes. And I just watched all the Daniel Craig ones. I watched those ones in Daniel Craig order. And I will say Spectre probably, out of all the Daniel Craig ones, that's probably my least favorite, but I still like it a lot. But it's not nearly as good as Skyfall, Casino Royale, and oddly enough, Quantum of Solace, that movie took me many times to kind of watch. I used to be kind of like I'd consider like my least favorite 007, but I really liked it this last watch I did. Like, I finally, maybe because I watched it just right back to back, or right after I watched Casino Royale, and going into it's like, because you got to really watch that movie right after you watch Casino Royale, or else you could be confused really quick, because that movie does not, like, if you sort of forgot Casino Royale, that movie does not, like, bring you up to speed at all.
Well, I think the thing about that one is the reason why a lot of people don't like it is the villain in that one was kind of a bitch.
Yeah, he is.
And then on top of that, people who aren't even big diehard Bond fans, the people were like, you know what? He's fucking mad that his girlfriend died. Like, well, I guess this is kind of the first sequel, and it kind of happened within probably a few weeks or whatever. Like, no, he's mad that his girlfriend dies. Bond doesn't cry. He doesn't get sad. And I remember hearing that from a lot of people who...
He gets sad at the end of Honor Majesty's Secret Service when his wife dies.
Is he crying holding her body?
Yeah, and that's how the movie ends. It cuts the credits after that. Mm-hmm. And then in the sequel, he's in Vegas.
This is how I cope. Just give me a pile of hookers and a pile of coke.
You know, but that's why...
I mean for him to go Dr. Seuss there for a minute.
That's why I like about the... Honor Majesty's Secret Service, though, is like for how ballsy that movie is. Like, it's filmed like very like almost like exploitative. I think it's because like most people like, we don't got Sean Connery, we can do whatever the fuck we want. Let's be like 60s experimental as much as we want to be. And I just love how that movie just ends like Bond's wife gets killed and it just cuts the credits. Like, that to me is so ballsy. Like, I love that kind of like, and you get that in the late 60s and 70s and so on.
What's the Connery one after that one?
Diamonds Are Forever.
Diamonds Are Forever. Okay. And
that's another one too that I used to think was like kind of like an okay Bond, but I remember the last time I watched it, I'm like, you know what? I actually really like this one. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of times how they are. It's kind of like almost like
Thunderball's the unofficial Bond movie, right?
No, that one is. There's
So it carries over some of the same themes or whatever.
Shit, I just watched this one too again because
it's the first one to acknowledge you're getting older. You can't be drinking so many martinis and fucking all the time. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, because you're gonna die. I've already died. I know. Yeah, you only live twice.
Oh, Never Say Never Again. That's the one.
Never Say Never.
And the weird thing about it is like, because I was looking at like the credits and it's like it's Bond. There must have been some kind of fluke, maybe like Maybe it was when United. Like, I'm making this up because I didn't do any research. I kind of want to, but like maybe it was like when United's artists like went under. There was this momentary gap where it's like, oh shit, we can make a Bond movie really quickly because it's made by I want to say it's made by Orion Pictures, and all the other ones were made by United Artists, and then United Artists got bought by MGM, and I think that's when the Timothy Dalton ones and the Pierce Brosnan ones kind of went on. So I'm just guessing here, but I think that's almost what happened. And like there was just this gap where it's like, wait a second, another company can jump in really quickly and make a Bond movie.
Well, there was that period in the I think late 90s, early 2000s, where they started doing the Avengers of Bond movies because they were saying like, oh, James Bond is actually just a code. This is a different guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then I want to say the one you like that I don't.
Die Another Day.
Die Another Day. He's like flipping through a book of all the girls he's fucked and died or whatever. And then they have a Casino, and then like I think Spectre. They show his birth certificate. It says James Bond. Like, oh, never mind. It's just the same guy.
And I think that's kind of, I don't know, like, I feel like this sounds kind of weird, like, but like, when people try to put too much logic into like the actors changing, it's just like,
I agree.
I just like go, that's just a movie. That's just a movie studio thing. Like
some people get pissed off about that kind of thing. Like,
well,
it's I'm not. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, I just
assumed.
feel 007's kind of one of those things. It just sort of carries on. Like, you know what I mean? Like the stories are just story to story to story. To me, it's the same guy the whole way through. Sean Connery, the Pierce Brosnan, the Daniel Craig, all those guys. It's the same guy. It's just like this weird thing. Like he almost just kind of like reverts like back in age like every once in a while. But I don't question it. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's just how it is.
Well, GoldenEye was kind of like back to first Bond film in a while.
Well, because that's like a big gap. That's 89, I think, to 1995.
That is a big gap.
And for Bond movies, they were always like 1 to 2 to 3 years apart.
Yeah, and that one was a big gap, and that's the first one to say, like, she's like, we got rid of the other M. Fuck him. You have to answer to me now. I know you don't like women, but guess who's your boss now? Fuck you. Like, all right, Judi Dench. Jesus, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But, well, that was like that in like, because the M was the same the whole way through, and, Q was always the same, and Moneypenny was the same all the way up to the Timothy Dalton ones, and they have a different Moneypenny for those movies, but then they get Samantha Bond in the Pierce Brosnan ones to play Moneypenny.
So, Samantha Bond?
Yeah, oddly enough, her name's Bond.
Oh, funny. Huh.
But, so that kind of continues on there. But, I don't know, the roundabout way, I can't remember I was getting around the same, but, like, something about Quantum of Solace, like, this last time, I don't know what it was. I just really dug it, and it's like, I'll say this about Quantum of Solace, and I said this from the beginning. It's filled with probably more action than almost any other Bond movie, and it's also one of the shortest Bond movies. But the action in it is really good.
I think every so often, because, we were talking about, like, the villain being a bench. I think every so often it's one of two things. It's either a really interesting villain who is just fun to watch, or he's a guy you want to see die.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes like you can still do a bitch villain and almost make that kind of like, yeah, I guess that can be a villain because that's sometimes how real life is. Is the guys that are the total bitches have the power. Well,
there's the guy in because the only one I don't like is the only Pierce Brosnan one I don't like is Die Another Day.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the villain in Tomorrow Never Dies. I remember that guy not being that likable. Like, he had enough charisma.
Newspaper is everything.
Yeah.
I am awesome. Look at me. I control the web. I'll put a story out because I can.
Well, I think he was meant to be kind of inspired by Rupert Murdoch.
I think so. He reminds me of that, and he also kind of reminds me sort of, what's his name, from, like, Apple, because he feels like...
Steve Jobs.
He's kind of dressed like him. He kind of just reminds me of, like, that like, I'm the super entrepreneur, like, media mogul.
You'll find two things back at your apartment. You'd be like, what was it? The file and my wife, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I will say, because I'm watching, like, Tomorrow Never Dies again, that is one of those ones where that character is literally, he has no likable qualities. He is just, like, the worst, like, media guy you can think of. He is just, I don't want to say he's, like, a one-dimensional character, because that always sounds like such a negative thing, but he is one of those characters, like, he's just, like, straightforward, that's who he is, nothing more, nothing less.
But there is something interesting, I don't know, he wasn't like, you wanted to see him die, but I remember there being something interesting enough about him to, like, make him bearable. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He wasn't a likable guy, but there's something, like, I want you to die, but I'm not, it's not like, kill this fucker, kill him fucking now, you know? And when he does that, like, okay, that's good, that had to happen. It's not like the guy in Quantum of Solace. The guy in Quantum of Solace is just such a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
And you wanted to see that guy die. You wanted to see him, like, I like the part where he just, like, it's really, like, because they were trying to make Daniel Craig really way more fucked up than other Bonds.
Yeah.
He's all like, 1 bullet and a can of paint. I give you half a mile before you try to chug that out of thirst.
Yeah, he gives him the oil can.
Oh, an oil can. That's what it was.
Yeah. I like when but M's like, we found him. He had his stomach was filled with oil. You know anything about that?
I can't tell you.
I can't give a fuck. Well, that's what I like about in that one, because I remember this part was kind of like, there's a part where Bond, like, there's like his buddy that he brings into the job. He's like, yo, I know you're hanging out here in the sun with your wife and everything's good, but I really need you to come in for this thing.
I know I kind of fucked you over.
You
got no reason to trust me. But then she's like, you're a good friend to me. And he just jams his dead body into a fucking dumpster and takes his wallet.
It's a hard cut. There's like these police officers show up and he literally pulls him out and he uses him first as a body shield. And then takes out the police officers, and then it just goes hard cut to him well, he's holding him first. I guess he's like I'm dying out, and like, you know, they have some like a moment with each other, and then it just goes hard cut. Bond drops him in a trash can, and then the girl's just like, "Is that how you treat your friends? He would have wanted it this way or something." It's just like Bond.
You know, when you start off, because you know he was born into money, you kind of wondered what the other side would be like.
Yeah.
Kind of like the reverse serpent eating its own tail kind of thing.
But also it's like, if you kind of compare like Quantum of Solace and Spectre, I feel like kind of like the weaker ones of the Daniel Craig one. That's how I feel. I think Quantum of Solace has much better action than Spectre, but Spectre has kind of a better story maybe than Quantum of Solace. Because I feel this sounds so weird, but in Quantum of Solace, like, it starts, or not Quantum of Solace, but in Spectre, it starts off with that amazing action scene in Mexico. That scene's pure awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, there's a lot of these other action scenes in it, like, the one with Batista and they're racing in the cars, but it's like the most casual car chase ever. It's like
a Sunday afternoon drive.
Yeah, it's like
in Ferraris.
Yeah, it's such like not that interesting of a, you know what I mean? Like, that feels like there's more interesting car chases like in the 1950s. You know what I mean? There's way more interesting ones than that. I'm not gonna say there's like more interesting. Like, they're beyond it. And for some reason, that one, it's just like chasing after each other, like we're going at a breeze, 45 miles per hour. Oh, taking a corner here. Oh, going straight again.
We might take this other back alley. Oh, he almost got me, but he didn't.
Yeah, it's just like there's that, and then there'll be another cool action scene, like the scene where Batista and him are fighting in the train. That's cool. That's a really well made scene.
He gets rid of him pretty easly, though, doesn't he? He gets him with
it's still like a big fight, though. I mean, they slam through walls and bust tables, and it goes on for a couple minutes. So what he does to get rid of him finally is he ties that rope around him and latches him to like the beer kegs, and then he gets sucked out.
Oh, okay.
But and then there's a part too where it's like, this sounds kind of weird, but they're at the place in, I don't think it's Austria, because I'm getting that confused with Our Majesty's Secret Service, but they're at a snow mountain in Europe, and
skiing and chasing scene.
Yeah, but there's the one where it's like where Bond's chasing them down in the airplane, which I still don't really understand how that exactly works. Because how the fuck does an airplane fly? You know, if those vehicles are driving on snow, they can only be going so fast, right? How does an airplane follow behind them like a vehicle that's probably going, let's say, 40 miles per hour?
Special MI6 style plane, maybe.
But he stole the plane just from, it's Bond.
Oh, fuck. Well, he knows,
Like, to me, it's an interesting, I guess it's an interesting thing to see, but like, have you ever seen a snow chase where a guy's chasing a car in a plane? Well, not exactly.
I don't even remember that part, I'll be honest with you. I only saw it once in theaters.
Well, I just watched it. This is my third time, I guess, I watched it. Because I watched it in theaters, watched it when I got it on Blu-ray, and then I just watched it again. So that movie was, other than the Mexico scene, I really didn't remember it super well until I kind of saw it. But it's just got some kind of goofy, like, it's not like, I just feel like they could have been cooler action scenes. I don't know why they're not as cool as, like, the previous three movies.
I remember thinking they really underused Blofeld. Like, it was like one of the things, you got one of the best character actors working right now, and he's barely in it. He's barely in it. And that's the thing about Bond villains. They're always there for a good portion of the movie. They're like almost the co-star of the movie, but he was like more the guy in the shadows. And I get it's Spectre. So at the same time, he's such a well-known actor playing such a well-known villain. He's kind of like, I felt like they were really trying to do like because there's that period in 2009 to 2013 or so, where they it was a established franchise, and here's we got this actor playing this character. Oh, I guarantee you that's Khan. No, no, I bet it's Khan. It's not Khan. It's not Khan. Shut the fuck up. All right, go see the movie.
It's Star Trek Into Darkness. Can't be Khan.
Yeah. And then, they say oh, he's got some made of Richard Richardson. Okay, cool. And then it goes on my real name is Khan. Like, oh, see, there it is. We tricked you.
Yeah.
Like, everyone kind of knew, dude, but all right. And then they did the same thing with this, like, he's playing Blofeld. No, he's not. Yeah, he is. And he says his name, like, oh, it's, Hans Hofferstein or whatever. And he's just like, my real name is Blofeld. Like, oh, shit, so they did this whole thing trying to mask up. They thought they were fooling people,
And that's also another example. There's that.
They made him like brothers or some shit, or like
yeah,
adopted brothers.
It's like my father adopted you, and and it's like, and I was pissed at that, and that's why I became a bad guy and killed my father.
Some shit like that, and it's like, I remember
that feels like I hate when they kind of try to tie things a little too close, where it's like, okay, nah.
They had childhood pictures of them, the two of them stand together.
Yeah, it's like they don't have like, I don't know. Some people like to make their worlds feel like they're so like almost like it happens in like a square block. You know what I mean?
I remember there was what did I thought of when I saw this? When I saw that, I thought of a random Sonic the Hedgehog book from when I was a kid. I want to know why? Because they try to pull that same shit. It was back when. This is like early 90s.
Like one of those ones you get from like the Scholastic Club.
It's exactly what it fucking was. And it was meant to be the first Sonic the Hedgehog book. And it was like, Mobius, it was a happy place where all the animals got along. And it's kind of like basing it sort of around the Saturday morning cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it to where Sonic and Robotnik were both raised by Uncle Chuck. Sonic's uncle from the show.
Yeah.
And he was like, Robotnik and Sonic never got along, and Robotnik was just some adoptive piece of shit they brought in. They always tried to do
fat
good.
Fuck.
Some fat fuck. He was mad because he was not good at track and all that. So then he one day, left the village and then started to build up his own empire and all this and that, and then attacked, and then Sonic meets Sally and Bunny, and yay.
See, and those always now at least there,
there's more room for it, I guess, because it's a shorter. It's Bond though has all this stuff.
Well, that it's like here's the thing. Their target audience is kids, and I kind of get they're trying to make a story be like, you know what? Sometimes brothers are adopted and they're just not as good and the same, but you still gotta like it might like
they don't. It's like no, fuck your brother. He's a fat piece of shit who's gonna try and kill you and all your family
and enslave them. So it's like that where it's like the Bond one's like when you try to sell that story to adults, it's like okay, we don't.
Well, I think there's it all probably the big oomph that got all that going was the Luke, I'm your father.
Mm-hmm.
So I think since then, even though people can say he never actually said Luke, I am your father, you know what I fucking mean?
Yeah.
I think that ever since then it's kind of hard to top that. So when people throw something similar to that and they're like, oh, they're related or there's some kind of connection they have, then it just feels a little forced.
Yeah. Well, and lots of times once again, I just feel like. Sometimes worlds don't need to be that small. I feel like just have it be like, what I mean? Like, I think Bond is better off just not knowing anything about his past. Like, I like the idea that fucking kid adopted in. They're like, hey, this will be a good person for the military. Like, let's train this boy up. Child soldier. Like, he's almost like Liquid in Metal Gear Solid 5, just not nearly as douchey and enslaving like black children at like the age of 10.
Oh, what was it? They had I could actually imagine them trying to do like what is James Bond Jr. Like that's
a cartoon show.
Well, no, I could honestly imagine kind of like I could honestly imagine James Bond Jr. being a lot like Kingsman if they decided to do that now.
Yeah, I could see if they brought that back, it would definitely have a Kingsman kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, was that one? That's just something. That's just interesting. Like, hey kids, you know that man who just bangs women left and right, sometimes kills them when he's done. And also just kills fuckers left and right and just drinks like nobody's fucking business. That guy we'll just focus on one of the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Make a cartoon out of that.
I know. I have like a VHS somewhere upstairs that's like the James Bond Jr. I just haven't watched it so long. I can barely remember.
Are you scared to go back to it?
Not really.
Not really?
Because, I mean, it's an 80s cartoon, I want to say. Maybe early 90s.
Well, that's weird because that's the point where they clearly had the movies. Because every so often, like, because James Bond was
It must have been made, actually, probably in that in-between period between Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan. They're like, shit, what are we going to do to keep James Bond going? Kids show!
Kids show. He's just fucking banging fucking, like, kids at the spy academy in the locker room.
It's just,
why are you late for class, Mr. Bond?
Yeah, one of those ones.
I gotta actually, this is a funny thing. You'll laugh at this. My job right now entails me to look at a lot of IDs. Mm-hmm. And I one time had this one customer and I have to make that a contract for him and all that. Had this one customer, and I say to him, "Sir, what's your last name?" He was a British gentleman. He says Bond. All right, cool. I'm not gonna make no joke about it because he probably gets a joke all the time. But then I get the contract, and it literally says Jim Bond. I kind of look at the contract, I look at him, and he shoots me this glance like, I'm not fucking saying it.
Dude, I would so own that.
He said it was just like Jim Bond. Just one of those things. He probably got so tired of people saying, and?
Yeah, I mean, he probably...
Bond! Did. There's something that follows that. I didn't say nothing because I know that he probably gets that all the time.
But man, I would just believe it. I would just so dive my mind into being, yes, this is who I am. Like, instead of going the opposite way, like, really owning it.
I remember I had my mom...
Because you can tell that guy fucking changed his name to Jim because he didn't want to be, like, you know what I mean? Nobody's fucking really born just Jim, it seems like.
We can name him Jim. Let's call him Jim. Yeah. No, well, I remember my mom had she had a friend, and she was, her friend's husband was named Raphael, and I was in kindergarten or something. So if someone's named Raphael, clearly there can only be one person.
Yeah, there's nobody else named Raphael.
Yeah, so when I met him, I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh.
Where's your size?
Well, no, I literally asked him, like, oh, why aren't you green? And he just said, I left my ooze at home, which is a good, quick line.
Yeah.
Shit, he at least had to see the movie.
Yeah, shit, I give that guy a lot of props for that.
I was so disappointed, but so okay. Then I pieced together oh, there's other people named Raphael, just not this turtle that lives in the TV.
No, it's always just kind of funny how just a name like that would almost stick, and that's how you knew people almost was just associated with one name. One name, one other. You can't have multiple people, and then as time goes on, it gets more like that. But
well, I said this I don't know. This is one of those things where sometimes you just piece together some when you're. I mean, I'm wasn't the brightest kid. I'm still wouldn't say I'm the brightest adult either, but some of the shit you just realize. I don't know. I assumed that when I was watching television, that was just documenting something that was going on in real life somewhere, and I don't know. I just assumed that. And what made me realize that these are actors playing people is I was watching. It's when I first saw Kindergarten Cop. I saw Terminator. I'm like, that's the Terminator. That's the Terminator. But wait, when's the Terminator gonna do some robot shit? I'm like, oh, that's not the Terminator. That's the guy that plays the Terminator. I'm like, oh, this is shit people make up. Okay, I just pieced this together now. I thought this was all documenting something that was going on somewhere.
You just realized you were not in an exclusive club.
Well, yeah, I just that's what I assumed. Yeah, and I was keep in mind, this is kindergarten. So I'm like, okay, so that's the. Okay, so Arnold Schwarzenegger was my game to realize, all this shit's fake.
It's funny how that kind of goes.
It was Arnold Schwarzenegger, because that dude is too distinguishable to oh, sorry, I got him mixed up with someone else.
You don't just that doesn't just happen.
Who's that movie star? Does it star, it's either Denzel Washington or Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't remember who.
Yeah, I can't remember which one is which, Is Denzel the guy from Austria?
I don't know. It was either Bill Cosby or Bill Murray. I don't remember.
One of the two. One of the Bills. Now,
one's a little less rapey.
This sounds so weird, but did you ever play the Quantum of Solace video game?
No, I didn't.
And oddly enough, I don't know how I bypassed it. Maybe because I just didn't have a PS3/Xbox 360 when that game must have came out. Even though, granted, it's actually on PS2, so I guess that gives me no excuse. And I think it was on Wii, so that also gives me double no excuse. But I finally played through that game, and I actually bought that one a while ago, but it just kind of sat there on my shelf in the stack. You know how that goes. Mm-hmm. You have all hopes, dreams, and anticipations of how your life's gonna go, and then you realize you have no time for any of it. But in my Bond marathon, it kind of put me in the mood to play through a bunch of the games again. So I played through Everything and Nothing. I played through Tomorrow Never Dies on PlayStation. You remember that one?
Tomorrow Never Dies on PlayStation?
Yeah.
I never played. Well, there's the ones that there's GoldenEye, and then there's Everything that was trying to trick you into thinking you were playing a sequel to GoldenEye, but it was just a third-person Bond game or a game that wasn't as good as GoldenEye.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's one of those ones Tomorrow Never Dies was the one I didn't have an N64 at that time period, so Tomorrow Never Dies was my Bond game because I couldn't own it GoldenEye yet. I had to play that at other people's houses, but I could own Tomorrow Never Dies. And granted, yeah, it's not nearly as good as GoldenEye. It's maybe not nearly as classic, but I went back and played that game, and it was just oh my god, this is pure magic. Now, maybe if you never played Tomorrow Never Dies, it might be oh, it's old and it's funky like this, but I really noticed I do not have a problem going back to a lot of PlayStation games. I mean, maybe it's because they're games I did play, like, so you kind of got the nostalgia there. But I could jump back into a lot of old games like it was yesterday and not be like, oh, the controls, I can't use twin sticks. Because, all the new, like, youngins always want to do stuff like that. They always bitch about how do you play a first-person shooter with just one joystick? I go,
Have you heard that?
many a times. They just go, I can't figure out how you play a first-person shooter without twin sticks. It's like,
I'm going to ask a question. Do you have to say a name? Who said this? Their names start with a C.
yeah.
All right.
But I've heard it from other people, though, too.
I kind of forget that, like, oh, he's just a little bit younger.
Yeah, you kind of forget he's a youngster. But
Yeah.
there's also, I've heard it from a lot of just other people. Just, people just a handful of years under us and so on. And people that were generally not PlayStation and N64 generation. They have a hard time, like, comprehending, like, those systems and those controllers and things like that and that gameplay. But to me, it's like, the way that, like, those games are a lot of times designed, like, works for how it was. Because, the parameters that they had makes the game how it was. So you can mostly jump back. Like, the thing about first-person shooters, it doesn't really matter how old it is. You can take the very first-person shooter, like Catacombs, or you can go to the most modern one, and anyone in between. But they're all made of... There's never, like, a first-person shooter where you jump in, or, where it doesn't feel right. Because they all were dialed in for that time period, for that system, for the speed that they needed, and so on. Unless it's maybe just not a good shooter in the first place, or maybe a bad port.
Now, like, twin joysticks to control a character in a first-person shooter or third-person shooter. Now that's the thing, like, I got really used to it, but there's that period when I first played Time Splitters for the first time. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this?
I have to use two sticks?
When I first played Time Splitters, and then going and playing Halo, because everybody wanted to play Halo, like, oh, what the fuck, dude? And then, he's always one of those freaks with inverted controllers. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, are you one of them? I forgot. Inverted?
I am inverted because I'm old school.
Oh, you're one of them.
Because in the olden days, you didn't have a choice necessarily. It was inverted was the standard, and then only in recent when Halo came out, that's where the standard wasn't inverted anymore. So that was like the switch between like modern and retro, like almost like first-person shooter gamers as far as the controls go. So and I don't meet a whole lot of people that are inverted anymore. So when you meet somebody that's inverted, it's like you just met somebody from your secret club.
You know the struggle.
You know what I mean? Like, if you guys have to break out of jail together, you can trust each other because you both play with inverted controls.
Hands, fists in the air, they both nod.
Yeah, if you guys are going to be in the Great Escape, you know that this guy's not going to turn you in.
Okay. He's not going to be like Charles Bronson and start crying halfway in the middle of digging the hole?
No, he wouldn't because he plays with inverted.
Okay. That's it's a sad thing watching Charles Bronson cry.
It's a weird one too.
It's a Russian accent too, so that adds to it, like makes it a little bit more confusing.
And here's the double. I'm gonna say this for inverted controls. This was the other thing that made me so used to inverted controls right off the bat is if you ever played any flight simulator games on a PC, when you fly a plane, it's inverted.
Yeah.
And that's how I got sort of used to it. So it made sense when it's like the gun's inverted too. So like, oh, okay, I get it.
That makes sense for me if I'm playing a flight simulator. Inverted makes sense for me. I don't know. I can't get behind it on like first-person shooters.
Once you get used to the style, it's kind of hard. It's really hard. It makes because if I try to play a game like where it's not inverted, it makes it look like I've never played a video game in my life.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh my god, this is so tough. This is so weird.
I just remember playing. It's one of those things like there was that period where it's just like, I don't get these newfangled. I got to use both joysticks. There's a time we could get it done with just one, but now you want me to use two? And then I got used to it, and now we got youngins going in there saying like, I need at least one more joystick to make this happen.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why he's saying like he's fucking.
Well, you know what's weird too? Like as far as joysticks go, I didn't use joysticks really until PS3 360 era. I literally avoided them all the way through like PS2. It was just one of those ones like if I had to use it maybe, but like I like really if I as long as I had the choice to use the D-pad, I just stuck with the D-pad. I mean, I played all those games like that. I guess maybe on Xbox original I might have started using the joystick, and of course GameCube. Well, duh, you had to use it on GameCube. But I remember PlayStation-wise, I avoided those joysticks for so many years. I think as a PlayStation joystick, I'm used to them now, but they were always kind of weird joysticks. I always thought they just never felt natural to me like every other system.
Was that? Well, I guess they're trying to jump in on Nintendo because that's after they had the joystick on the 64. So.
Yeah, because the 64 you had to use the joystick too, but I guess what I'm saying here is PlayStation. I should really rephrase what I was saying there, because obviously I use joysticks on all these other systems, but what I was getting to is this Quantum of Solace game. This game came out probably like, 2008 when the movie did, and I played to like this day. This game feels like it's almost kind of like a new game. Like it's 10 years old, which is fucking weird to think. But it felt so fresh. The graphics look fucking awesome. I mean, you knew it was a PS3 game, but they look dialed in. And this is the thing that I thought was really cool more than anything else. The game's a first-person shooter, but you have a cover system like Gears of War. So when you do the cover system, it puts it in the third person. I've never seen another game do that. That is such a cool thing that, like, why is that not in more games?
I guarantee you there's somebody bitching about that.
Oh, you know there was probably something like, well, probably like, it was probably one of those weird ones where
like, make up your mind. Is it
the
first
Call of
person or
Duty
third
people
person?
probably like didn't like it when it switched to third person, and maybe the Gears of War people were like, why isn't it just third person the whole time? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's flawless. Like, it doesn't feel weird when it does it. It doesn't feel shifty at all. It's totally awesome. Like, because it seems like that would, if you explain that, it sounds kind of like, well, that seems kind of like a jump.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Is there a little bit of a middle ground of like a second person view, like just to kind of like translate into it, like to fade nicely in? No.
What would be the second person view?
I think second person would be in life. I guess that would be like, this sounds kind of weird. It would be like not a camera floating behind you. It would almost be, this probably doesn't really count maybe, but I almost would say something like along the lines of Resident Evil. Like over the shoulder, like locked on, like real close. But you know, it's not first person, but you know what I mean? Like that would be the closest example of that. Because in Resident Evil, you can't really control the camera. I guess you can kind of look slightly left. Well, I know in the new ones you can, but I'm thinking like Resident Evil 4.
They got that remake of Resident Evil 2 coming out. Does that have you like super
amped? That does. Well, I saw the first video. I'm like, I hope it's not first person. That was my key thing. And then like I saw the second one with the gameplay. I'm like, oh shit, it looks like Resident Evil 4 and you know Resident Evil 5 and 6. That's awesome. I'm just totally down. Plus, it looks like they're keeping it like straight up Resident Evil 2. It's not like they're gonna be like, well, guess what we're adding now? You know what I mean? Like it seems. I mean, obviously they'll probably have like a couple like little like changes here and there, but it doesn't seem like they're trying to like really be like, you know, what we're gonna put in this one. Let's put a zombie with a ginormous machine gun who flies in a bat suit, and you know. Why not? Let's have it like be like, how about we're not fighting zombies? How about we're just fighting like crazy people in a house that are like possessed? You know, it's just like I'm glad it's like no, it's still Resident Evil 2.
Didn't that eventually turn into zombies, or was it all?
There's no zombies in Resident Evil 7, sadly.
No.
There was like these monster-ish creatures, but I wouldn't call them zombies necessarily.
Do they have anything akin to like a licker or anything like that?
No, I mean there's bugs in like the one corridor of the house. Because this is how Resident Evil 7 is. It's one of those games where it's a straight up game. It's you know, it's good. I wouldn't say it's like amazing, but it's a good, solid game. And I was more, you know, I didn't think I was gonna like the game at all. So like, kind of going in with that attitude, it's like I was like, oh, I was actually a little bit more impressed than I thought it'd be. But as a Resident Evil game, it's got barely any Resident Evil in it. That's what kind of bothers me. It's got like 2 moments of Resident Evil. It's like
doesn't Leon Kennedy pop in at the end?
Yeah, Chris does. And then they have this expansion pack, and I have still not played it because I feel it's very offensive to like a Resident Evil fan. It's literally called Chris. And you're supposed to play as Chris, and I feel bad for not really playing it because it came out like fucking way late. But it's called Not a Hero. And when I hear that's like having like where Batman's not a hero.
I could imagine them
Superman's not a hero.
I guarantee you that's a line he says.
Yeah.
I'm no hero. If I was a hero, I would have saved him all. I'm Chris Redfield.
Seen a lot of shit in my I've seen shit since literally day one. Where were you when they released that virus in Raccoon City?
Think about that. That's got to be one of those things that, you know, because we always think about things like, you know, like 9/11 and all that kind of shit. We think about, like, in that world, like, oh, shit, you realize what today is? Oh, fuck, it's the 20th anniversary of Raccoon City. I know, fuck, right?
Yeah, that's the big fucking deal right there.
It's like, dude, you know, like, dude, 9/11 just happened. Dude, 9/11? Okay, yeah, 2 buildings went down. That's sad and all, but a fucking city with zombies blew up, dude.
Actually, you know what? When Simon Law was flying that plane there, clearly he just took out a building full of zombies by this point. It's 4 years later, come on.
Well, it's like one of those things
or
where
3
it's
years
like,
later, I guess it's 98. Resident Evil.
You wonder if you ever see like that. We remember. We never forget. You know, like that kind of shit. You never see like that in like that catastrophe type stuff. You see a little bit of it like in the Marvel movies, but not a whole lot of it. Like
see in Fallout, sort of. Well, I guess not like.
Well, Fallout is just like, well, I mean, it just fucking happened. It's hard to forget. I mean, the grass hasn't come back yet.
It's like been 180 years later.
Dude, you remember? Remember what?
Remember living in a fucking tube.
Yeah.
In fact, that's all I know.
What has me except about 76 is 70 or 77. 76.
I think it's 76.
76.
I think it's got a 1776 theme because it's in Boston and so on.
Well, plus this one, it looks like it's taking place more, and I mean, it looks like one of those things. It still looks like Fallout, but it looks like it's kind of, without trying to sound too cheesy, it looks like kind of like more optimistic Fallout, because it looks like it's taking place more like in a mountain region area. Now I'm sure we're gonna get some weird, fucked up hillbilly
Monsters
zombies
stuff,
things,
yeah.
but I see a lot more green.
Yeah,
And I think it's
okay.
kind of, and the whole thing is like, now we rebuild. So
And I kind of like that too, because I feel like that's sort of what Fallout kind of needed. Was like, it's like, how much can you walk across the wasteland? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, at some point you're going to need a little bit more different kind of environments. Granted, I liked all the Fallouts, but you know what I mean? There comes a point where it's like, I think it's time to try something new. It was like when I heard the online thing, that was kind of like a turnoff, because I thought it was online only, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not getting Fallout then. But then it's like, I read something else. It's like, oh no, you can play this game 100% single player, if you want.
yeah,
So it's like, cool.
that's
fine.
reason enough to get it. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like, I can have online on there, and online's cool. I just don't need it to be the main basis of the game. That's why, I mean, I look at something like Overwatch, and I love the way the characters look. As a cool character design, I like the world it takes place in. I don't want to play a game where it's just online only. It just doesn't appeal to me. Like online death matches, that gets old to me.
Well, that's how I feel too. It's like, it's one of those ones. It's fun for like a day, maybe 2 or so, but that's about it. Then it's almost like one of those ones I feel like, shit, you should be doing something for your life. It just feels like you're kind of like dicking around almost. And granted, I know some people just love it. Maybe that's their way to like relieve the stress from their day and so on. But to me, it's just like, it reminds me of that. It always reminds me of that scene in American Pie 2 where like,
Oh,
where
that scene.
Eugene Levy's trying to explain sex to his son. He's like, it's like tennis, and you want to have somebody
a ball against a wall.
Well, it's fun, but it's not a game. You know what I mean?
Like how he looks at most intently, like it's fun. It's not a game.
And that's how I feel about online play. It's fun. It's like whacking a ball against the wall. That's it. Whacking a ball against the wall.
I think you said that.
It's just ball and wall is too close. But that's how I feel. That's how online play. It's fun, but not really a game. You know what I mean?
Well, for some people it is. So they gotta get their achievement hunter score or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I guess by that standard, it is. I don't know.
If I actually gave a shit about what, like, oh, your gamer score is only this point. Yeah, because I got time to play all this. To go do all these stupid.
Because I actually do shit in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to put that down, but that's almost like that kind of point where like.
I remember I had like, it was like, I don't remember what happened. Like one time. It was some time back. It was back when I still lived in Sonora. My nephew was checking out my Xbox 360, and then like his friend was over, and they were playing my game, and his friend was being a little snotty little shit. And he's just like, "Oh my god, you don't got any of the trophies of this. You only got some of the trophies of that. You don't have any online play. What? How do you do that?" Just like, "'Cause I have a job, you little shit." I have a job and I'm trying to make a fucking comic book.
Yeah, fuck these kids sometimes.
I mean, you say, no, you're a kid, you learn. That, like, I'll be honest, it's like one of those, a lot of times, I can think back of a bunch of stupid shit I did as a kid.
Yeah, that's
I'd flat out punch, if I was there right now, future me can go back, I'd punch I punched like Pastorine in the fucking face.
Yeah, but times.
At the same time, though, it's one of those things. Like I think at those embarrassing moments that kind of form you, and like, fuck, why'd I do that? Like that's why you're not gonna do that shit again. So
yeah, exactly. But it's so weird. And also, I feel like online gaming is literally like that. If there's one separation between a retro gamer and a modern gamer, it's that. And it's not the fact, because obviously there's been online gaming since, like 1992, or 93, I guess. But here's the thing, like 99% of people did not even have, not even that, like 99.9% of people didn't have it. So I don't really count it. And even like PC gaming and something like that started coming as time came on, but that's almost kind of its own like animal. But I really think that separation right there really like divides almost like gamers, because the people that are kind of like, almost like your retro gamers mostly generally prefer stories. They like their friends to be in the same room as them. They like conversations to be more natural. They like the sharing and communication part of gaming. And modern gamers want to be online the whole time. Generally, it's all about the trophies and not necessarily the story of the game anymore, because that part probably doesn't even get played unless there's maybe trophies that need to be good. It also kind of has, there's no more friends in the room anymore. It's like not really a social experience. Like I do not count on a microphone being a social experience. I know I sound like an old man when I say this.
Yeah.
That's not a social experience, damn it.
Yeah.
Damn you kids, get off your phones and texting and go out and hang out. Like, oh, there's sun outside, damn it.
Go play marbles. Go play jacks.
Yeah.
Go play hopscotch. We're 22. No, but
And I don't mean it like that. I'm like, granted, if that's what you like. But I always kind of feel bad when you see, like, when you have friends that are like, you seem like, man, we used to hang out together and play video games and go through the story and all that stuff. And then you just seems like, oh, when you talk about video games, like, all they do is they play the casual games online the whole time and never play story mode anymore. It's kind of sad, almost.
I remember one of the biggest moments where I realized that difference was, it was like, I think it may have been a fucking IGN review too. It was like I think it was an IGN review or some video review for the Scott Pilgrim video game. And I mentioned this before on the podcast, like way earlier.
Probably like what the Scott Pilgrim game came out almost.
Yeah. Amber, the guy was saying mostly positive things about the game, but then the guy says the biggest problem this game has, it has no online play, which means if you want to be... It's not so much like, okay, I can get why you want online play. I get that. But at the exact same time, like, this statement right here was one of those things like, oh, this is the generation gap right here, is where when he said, like, or I guess this guy probably be the same age as us, but still, this had to be just the social kind of like, well, I don't get how you land on that.
Yeah.
He says, so it means if you want to play...
friends, that's all I have to say.
Well, he says,
fucking pussy.
Well, yeah, but he's like, that means if you want to play this game, you got to go to your friend's house, they got to come to your house, you got to sit on the same couch, breathe the same air as them, like... You're saying that like that is such a fucking hassle. Like, back in the day, if me and the gang wanted to get together, we had to walk 15 miles through the snow. One of us might have died along the way or get eaten by a bear just in order to play Scott Pilgrim versus the World on Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like one of the ones like, that game has...
As if that was such a fucking hassle.
And that game's made in such a retro way that feels like, no, that is how you should play it. You know what I mean? I think they add online play as that game kind of had updates. But I feel like one's like...
When I hear someone bitch about it that way, I'm gonna be like, well, hey, I don't want to be your friend now. Yeah, apparently you don't want me on your couch playing a video game with you.
Apparently you don't like being social.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you even work for a magazine company like this.
Well, I imagine it's IGN, so they might just keep them little. They may show like their show, like show their show. It's a later show, folks.
How many times can we say show in one sentence?
Yeah, no, it's a later recording. I mean, I know that whenever they show like something on IGN, it's always kind of like, hey, we're in like the office, guys. Here's a cubicle. Look at the guy in the background. He has a bunch of Star Wars and Marvel action figures. Yeah, look at the guy over there. He has a Goku figure and a pop vinyl of Groot. It's nerd shit. Anyway, I bet as soon as they cut on the camera, it's just like a box. And it's just like, here's your fucking assignment. They just slide this, like, you know, a game in there, close it.
Yeah.
Maybe they slide in, like, a burrito for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. One of those ones.
Or just to give it, not even that, like a protein bar, like an IGN product protein bar just for them to eat.
It doesn't have a nutrition label on it, so you really don't know what you're eating.
It's just, well, it just keeps them, like, more obedient. Like, IGN takes care of me. Like, it makes them more docile and shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, one of those kind of things. And I know it's one of the ones like you. This is like where I feel like you become the old man. What are you gonna say?
I just imagine it's just one of those little fucking like those hamster
like
fucking
pebbles coming out.
Not those like those fucking like that water bottle thing with the little like
drip on it.
They just lick it, you know, yeah, like that. They got the water drugged.
It's got big old IGN logo on it.
Of course, every Call of Duty is good, and we can't ever question. Whenever EA put out a game, it's always fun.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can just tell they're being paid off and bought into it, but...
They started off as like a Nintendo 64 fan magazine.
I know, it's so weird, and then they just turned to the big... Well, I think what happens is, like, probably this, like many things, the guys who started it probably sold it, and then, you know, a big corporation came in and took it over, and then it just became something else. That's like how YouTube was. That's a perfect example.
Well, it just feels so much of, like, just kind of like... We're trying to be like, we are the Geek Central. You want to take everything we say seriously.
And I always avoid it. When I look up any video game news or anything, I just avoid IGN. If I see IGN, I scroll past it. I'll go multiple pages down like the search engine if I have to get away from IGN.
I might look if they're like I might just be slightly curious. Just like, okay, let me compare them to someone else and see how accurate it is. Just out of curiosity once in a while. Then the problem is
I just don't want to give them any money.
Thing is, then I get a bunch of, like, you know, IGN, like, videos for, like, the next 5 months. Like, oh, you want to watch this IGN video from 5 years ago? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't want to click on their website so that any of their ads get that 0.1% of like whatever, a penny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want them to get any of my money whatsoever. So it's just one of those ones. It's like I try to find like the more like, you know, smaller websites, you know, something that's kind of hard to find for certain things, but yeah, if I can avoid IGN, I always kind of do. You know, it's just one of those like principles, just like, because I just feel like that always feels like fake news of like, or just like not fake news, but no, more like phony, like nobody feels real. It's like those GameStop ads that they play in the stores. Like those people feel so fucking fake. Like I don't think they're real people actually.
Well, I mean, those things like they always have like, I don't know, just they always have those people like, hey guys, so we're talking about the brand new Star Wars. Like,
yeah,
you know?
like you could tell that none of them care what the fuck they're talking about. You know what I mean?
This one takes place in like the prequels, A New Hope or whatever. Yeah, they're just kind of like getting bits and facts wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing that bad, but it always just feels just so.
It's like one of those ones you could spot a fake real quick. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. And I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to, maybe to like the young kids these days. Maybe that appeals to them. I don't know. Fuck.
Well, it's like anything.
Maybe it's just us old men are like, damn it, the ways of the game are, you know, back in our day we had dignity, damn it, and you know there was choice, and you know what, you could be who you wanted to be. You weren't formed by a corporate machine. What happened? I feel like we're like almost like we're like the hippie generation complaining to the kids in the 80s.
I also feel like it's one of those things.
You know, like, why don't you fight for something? It's not about money, damn it.
I feel like it's also one of those things where people.
It's about having your goddamn friends over and playing 4-player split screen.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
It's the frame rate sucks, Gramps. That's what's wrong with it.
Now, why don't you go in the corner and play GoldenEye till you're fucking dead? That should be in probably 2 weeks, right? Jesus.
Fucking old.
So fucking old. And you're like 42.
You're drinking Surge. Like, I don't even know what that is.
It gives you diabetes. You know what? Drink it more. Gets you out of here. More bandwidth for me to play this video games. I don't give a shit. I'll buy all the DLC.
Exactly. I'm getting my loot boxes. You know why? Because I can. Because I'm running somebody else's credit card. Called Mom. You just wish you had downloadable characters back in your golden A.
Stupid, crusty old fuck.
Playing a game with a guy who's 50 years old in it. Of course you would play that. You know, in my game, everybody's a youth.
It's like, I was watching, like, I went over, like, my friend Dave's house a little bit ago, and he bought, like, one of those newer Final Fantasy spin-off games. It's a game that came out, like, 4 years ago or something, but, he was playing it. And we were just like, this is a game I just, you know, I felt like I played a little bit, I couldn't get into it, and I figured I'd pick it back up. And we're watching it, the whole time we're just totally ripping on it. And
was that the PSP one that was converted to PS4 or whatever?
Maybe it was. The graphics didn't look as good, so it may have been. It was like Final Fantasy, like they're like in an academy or something.
Yeah, I think that, God, I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but.
I don't remember what it was called, but I was just watching it, and I was just sitting there, like, arms crossed, just, like, being to, like, look at all these fucking pussies, and the whole thing was just like, we're an elite team. We've all seen some serious shit. How old are you? 14. I'm the old one of the group. It was just like, I was like, feeling like I was watching like a Japanese pop band work their way through it. It was just what it was a lot of the shit of like, go to this part of the academy, and then you're gonna get ready for your mission. Goes to this part of the academy. Okay, go to this guy. Go talk to him. It was a lot of just going back and forth and getting all this stupid exposition. I was like. And this game was apparently popular, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this game, dude? I was just like, you cannot, this is like the shit that, this is like all the negative anime RPG stereotypes you could have bottled into one fucking thing. And this is like, I think this game did good. I looked it up. This game got good reviews.
People liked that game. Well, some people did. I noticed a lot of the older people didn't seem to care for it as much.
And I was just sitting there watching this thing, and he was just like, yeah, I couldn't take any of these characters fucking seriously. And plus, I'm at that point now when you have like, what are you? I'm the badass moody anime guy. Whoosh. How old are you? I'm 16. I have my hair always dangling right in front of my face. I'm the guy with his arms crossed, leaning in the corner when everyone else is talking.
That's so you know I'm edgy. Dude. You know what? This is the weird thing. Is this like, because this goes back to being like old man gamer once again or something like that. Be like, God damn it! Well, back in our day, you know, Cloud was a real man. Damn it! carried a sword on his back that was probably bigger than him. He had spiky hair like he was in a punk rock band. Like, what's with your kids these days? You know what I mean?
Cloud kind of laid some of the foreground for some of the like.
It is. It's a slow build up because even like Squall and so on. Zidane's a little bit more like a throwback, I guess, because he's like a pirate who's like ready to rape and pillage anything he sees, and he's got a monkey tail.
Yeah, well, they were trying to do the whole like journey to the west thing with him, weren't they? With the monkey tail thing. I see a monkey tail and a staff. I just imagine journey to the west.
Well, I think in Japan and China and everything like that, you know, the monkey master is very popular. You know what I mean? We're in America, it's not nearly as popular.
Like, oh, like Goku. All right, cool.
Oh, you mean that Goku thing? It's like, yeah, well, that still same place, but okay. He got halfway there. Let's just give him credit.
Well, that's like one of their biggest stories there, Journey to the West, one of the biggest Chinese fables there is. But he's not even the main character. He's just Rudy's favorite character. Main character is like a monk.
Yeah.
It's one of those long ass volumes, and he just follows. Starts off with the monkey guy, then we jump onto the monk. The monkey guy's like, "Hey, I'll be your Han Solo," and everybody likes him. So, but yeah,
it keeps going.
It just keeps on going. I don't remember. And then there's like a pig, and I think there's like I don't remember whether they're like a fish man or some shit. No one gives a shit other than the fucking monkey. That's what everyone likes.
Yeah.
So much so that they made those new movies, those Chinese movies. The monkey's the center of the main character on the thing. So,
and I think they're almost just called the Monkey King in the U.S. Like they don't even refer to anything.
Look, we all know what you came here for. You came here for the monk, not the monk. You came for the monkey.
Key, yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember that story. I remember reading the story once, but it kind of got by me. But I just remember it was just literally a monkey just being kind of like, you know what? I want to eat all these peaches. Fuck y'all. It was just literally a dude who just seemed like, you know, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. It was almost kind of like Lobo if he was a monkey. Just rides in on like a fucking cloud. Like, yo, check it out.
Just like revving the engine and so on.
Nimbus! Let's eat all these fucking peaches! That's for the gods. Fuck you, I'm hungry!
Because he's mischievous.
Yeah, exactly. No, well, how do we get off on that?
Well, we're building up. We're building up on kind of like the characters. You can see progression, but if you compare like 7, 8, and 9, like though, I mean, maybe you know, obviously there was like an 80s kid at that time. There was being like, these character games are fucking emotional and crappy. You know, back in my day, you know, in 1, 2, and 3, it wasn't anything like this. You know,
you're just a man on a mission. You'd be killing whatever the fuck came your way.
Yeah, you know, the goddamn king sends you off and said, go get my daughter back and kill some shit along the way and collect those goddamn crystals. Why don't you?
Brag on it, boss.
Yeah, and you did it because it was your goddamn job. You know what I mean? You didn't need a reason, emotional reason why. Shit.
You were saving your sister, your best friend, and
you had
friendship wasn't magic. Fuck that.
Yeah.
What was magic was you stabbing your sword to the face of a fucking monster.
And I also think too, like, granted, you know, those kind of stories. I think there is this kind of stories. The second that you're not a teenager anymore. How are you going to relate? Now, you can always go back to your own versions of it. It's kind of like, I look at Final Fantasy VIII. That's my favorite Final Fantasy of them all. Granted, those are all a bunch of 17-year-old hip kids fucking, like, at a school that teaches them fucking how to kill and murder. When you think about it. But, now, here's the thing. If I was probably 30 years old coming into that game, I could see that being kind of like, I don't know if this is for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, very much so. Because, I mean, I guess there is that weird little window of when you like that shit. Because I can't think of a whole lot of things I like right now that center around a bunch of teenagers. And I'm like, get over your fucking emotional problems. And I think every generation has that period where it's just like, well, I grew up with this when I was going through my emotional problems because I was a teenager. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. These guys don't know what the fuck is going on. I get it. And then I grow older. I'm like, I remember you guys. And then someone presents the same thing with a different coat of paint. And I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, it's just that weird thing. And I think no matter what, it's just something that you just can't. You're just never good. It's just, you almost, maybe you just gotta kind of let it go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, there's always going to be a judgmentalness. That if you see it, you're going to judge. As an older person, I think it's just bound to happen. You know, and you're going to get to the point where it's just that kind of like, you know what? Boy, I think you just need a job down at the factory. That's going to teach you all the life lessons you need. If there's anything I learned from a Bruce Springsteen song, this is it.
That's how you feel. Look, you need to get all that product out of your hair. Stop wearing so many, like, jackets that have so many fucking zippers.
Yeah. You ain't Michael Jackson. I'm just going to let you know.
Pull your goddamn pants up.
And he was the king, goddammit, of pop. Don't get that confused with the king of rock.
And also, lose all those fucking bracelets and all that kind of shit. You ain't swinging that sword around. That sword's too clean. Who the fuck you kidding, boy? And like, just get that point. And like, there's like, what was the example I was gonna make regarding that? There was, when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, I was probably 14 or 15. I liked it. I wasn't a little emo kid, but I liked Kingdom Hearts. And I even liked Kingdom Hearts 2. And then what ended up happening was then they came out with all these spin-off games.
Kingdom Hearts, like the 3 double-dimensional drop or whatever the fuck.
Kingdom Hearts, Awaken Sleep, Kingdom Hearts, Dream Time, Redux, and then they just re-released the same 5. I don't even know what they all are, but they re-released a bunch of these midway games. Not the company Midway, but these games that take place between 1 and 2, or after 2, but before 3. They kept on re-releasing all these games in different forms, in different collections, and they kept on having these really fucking ridiculous names, like Kingdom Hearts, Infinite Sleep, Third Redux, Delight, Adventure, like triple size, super size.
Those are names that are meant to confuse anybody over the age of 19.
Yeah, so
that is literally like the easiest way to keep an adult out of like what you're doing is to just give it the most fucking confusing name and characters that you can imagine.
And then I never really played any of those games, and then I jumped out. I'm like, I'll play it when it's just kind of a half-assed Game Boy game. I'll play it when it comes out when the third one comes out. And they tease the third one forever, and now the third one has some actual gameplay footage they're showing, and it doesn't look like a bad game, but I'll be honest,
a little too late.
I mean, you know what I feel like?
Remember when Sin City 2 came out?
Sin City? Yeah, I feel kind of the same thing. A little too late.
You know what I mean? It was one of those ones, and it's a good movie all in all, but it was just like, boy, that movie probably would have been amazing if it would have came out 5 years earlier.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I feel like for like Kingdom Hearts 3, I feel like it's kind of like, I was like, texting a girl, things are going really, really fucking good, and then all of a sudden she left me waiting a while, then she texts me like a month later, and I'm like, oh, sorry, that train has passed, I feel like you're kind of cock-teasing me a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. And for me, like, this sounds so weird. Like, Kingdom Hearts, maybe if it would have came out when I was a little bit younger, I might have enjoyed it. It's kind of weird. Like, even though that game was probably, like, the exact age it was meant for, I think it was the weird thing is at that time period, it was, like, the idea of Disney being mixed with my anime was, like, going against, like, all my, like, all this prepping Japan was trying to get me for was, like, the fact it's, like, this doesn't seem fucking right. Like, I jump ship on the American shows. Why do you want me to...
Why am I going back?
Yeah, we're not... I didn't think we were going back. I thought Japan was going to raise me from this point on, like a lone wolf.
I was an infant in a basket on the back of Japan.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think we were going back anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like, I think is when that game came out was totally when I was 100% geared up to fucking fight the war for Japan. Like, I was ready to serve in that army instantaneously. They had me fucking like lured in since like the fucking mid-90s.
Who'd they let at the fucking table? You put that fucking hood on and hide those fucking ears.
Fuck you! That was almost like Mickey. Man, that almost reminds me like Mickey was like, we're losing troops here, The fucking G-Pan's getting all over it. Taking our guys away, that anime's coming in, nobody wants to watch a good old American cartoon anymore. So you know what? We're gonna go to the source. What's the most popular thing in Japan as far as like anime video games? I don't give a fuck. What is it? Sir, it looks like this like Final Fantasy. Final what? I'll show you who's the real Final fucking Fantasy here. Let's get over there. We're gonna take that shit over. We're gonna slap some Goofy, slap some Donald, slap some Mickey in there, and show them who's fucking boss. You know what? The next generation's gonna fucking love Disney. They'll be sucking Disney cock all day long. And that's really what happened. And I felt like I was in that little bit of like almost this like weird transition thing. Cause like, I guess cause like, when I think of like our Disney, it's like Chippendales, like Tailspin, Goof
Fuck,
Troop.
you know what? Here's this right now. Not to sorry to interrupt you. If that shit was in this game, I would probably fucking get it. I just realized that. I am a fucking hollow shill. If you just threw in like Darkwing Duck and Tailspin, not Jungle Book, not all this other shit. I mean, if you just threw in like, the Saturday morning fucking Goof Troop, why not? Like, and you got one of
Pauly Shore in there and everything.
Want to know who you beat the fuck up in the Goof Troop world? You beat the fuck out of Max. All right, you don't beat the fuck out of Pete.
No, PJ could be on your team if anything. He'd be like a caster or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's like a summon. You just like summon him down, like, oh god, just lands down on top of your enemies, crushing them. No, sorry, yeah, but no, like that. You say that was a weird transitional period for you. It was kind of a transitional period for me because it was like one of those things where it was like the game looked interesting to me, and I wasn't like a diehard Final Fantasy guy, but it looked interesting enough, and I was kind of like, and I played a little bit of it, thought it was fun, but then looking at it, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of judging myself a little bit because I'm like, man, I'm like 14. I'm almost a full-grown adult, and here I am playing a Disney cartoon video game. Well, there's Final Fantasy characters in it, so it's meant to be taken seriously. So it's okay, you know. like okay, it's the Tarzan world. Tarzan's a badass. Tarzan's cool.
He's ripped.
It's Hercules. Okay, I like Hercules. But all of a sudden you go to like, oh, it's Alice in Wonderland world. That's stupid. Oh, it's My Little Mermaid world. That's stupid. I'm like, oh, I'm in some made-up Final Fantasy.
Hope my Halo friends don't catch me at this place.
Yeah. Exactly. You get to like you get there's some made-up level called like Hollow Bastion where it's like this giant castle and like, oh, it's nothing Disney, so it's okay. Oh, Beast is on my team. Beast is cool.
Yeah, he's cool. I mean, he's never run the Beast.
Yeah, we all got a beast inside of us. I got a beast too. I'm an angry 14-year-old. We all got a deep beast inside of us. That's the thing about like kids, like when they're teenagers, they all think they're so like
awesome
something
and cool, but
not even that. I'm not even trying to say like, oh, everyone at 14 and younger or 15 and younger, fuck you. I'm not saying that, but there's that period where when you're really young.
It's just a funny age.
Well, no, it's just there's that period where you're really young and you take everything so serious.
Like it's life or death. That's how I took Kingdom Hearts. Like I felt like I was betrayed by Squaresoft. I was like, you fucking pull this shit on me. Like I've been buying fucking Final Fantasy for years, and this is how you repay me. You bring fucking America back into it.
I was ready to burn my own flag for you.
I was so deep inside the Japanese like bandwagon.
I'm a man without a country now.
Where am I? I'm on the Pacific Ocean now with nowhere to go. I guess I'm living in Hawaii.
But no, like,
it's that weird thing, and I feel like that's only that teenage generation, because it's almost like as an adult, it's hard to comprehend like how you can choose these sides like so heavily, and I feel like it's just that age of about 12 to maybe 17, give or take, maybe not even that far, maybe, and it's just weird, maybe a little bit farther for some, I'm not too sure, give or take, but it's just so weird to think about that and be like, remember those times when like lines were literally black and white, like there was borders, and you fucking like in a sitcom, almost, where you like carve an apartment in half. That's like how life was as a teenager, it seemed like.
Well, there was a lot more of that. I can't show up to school wearing this Mario shirt because I know I have 5th period with Dave, and Dave likes Halo. So
Yeah.
It's one of those things, and you would actually get really, like, earlier I was saying, like you took everything so seriously, and not just video games, but I just mean just everything seemed like any time there's like I don't know, not everybody, but whenever there's like a super emotional scene, like in an anime or a video game, like oh, it's serious. It's so
speaking to me.
It's so serious. This cartoon has a very dramatic thing. Well, what happened? His best friend at the Kung Fu Academy just betrayed him. I can't think of any anime off the top of my head. Or it's like the part when Frieza, or like when what was it? Like when fucking like in Dragon Ball when Goku's like Vegeta's like, Goku, or Kakarot, I know I killed a bunch of your friends and a bunch of people you like, a lot of innocent people, but I too am a victim, for Frieza killed our people, and you are the last Saiyan, it is on you now. Rest easy, sweet prince. And he closes his eyes, like, oh man, this is so fucking deep. Now looking back, I'm like, this has its warm spot for me, but at the same time, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a little heavy there, a little too, not heavy, but a little too overly dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like those ones, like, it's not that I can't enjoy stuff like that, but like, there is that certain, like, you took that stuff like it was fucking, like, as serious as could be, like, that was, like, it was almost like it was gonna change your life. You're like, if I had to write my autobiography right now, watching this episode is going in there. Which, like, flashing back now, be like, yeah.
It's intense. Why is it so intense? Well, look, he told him this while he was naked and from the afterlife. So,
and he was looking over his shoulder.
That was the thing. It's like everything you're just looking over is like, why the fuck is he naked?
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. When I'm older now, I think I'm like, fuck yeah, I'd be naked. If I was in the afterlife, I would just fucking huff
Let
it back
that shit
in.
hang.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, also, you just think about being a kid and, like, just, like, you had to make decisions of, like, what you could and could not do when you came to school. And I feel like an adult, like, as an adult, I could fucking wear a Sesame Street shirt and fucking out in public nowadays. I don't give a flying fuck. That's like that is almost the difference. Where if you wore a Sesame Street shirt and like at age like maybe like 15 and you didn't have some kind of like, sounds weird, you would never have called it hipster back then, but if you were not some kind of like hipster kid that could have pulled it off, because there's always that one kid who could pull like weird shit like that off and get away with it. Be like, oh man, you know what? Nate, he's cool like that. He can pull those kind of things off. But you know if you came in, like they'd be like, oh, look at him, he fucking still likes preschool shows. You know what I mean?
I remember I had like, it was one of those things, like it's weird because I had other t-shirts that, I remember this one day I came back. It was actually before. This was back in high school, like freshman year of high school, maybe sophomore year. I went to like Disneyland and I bought like this Boba Fett shirt. And it was like this kind of like little midget version of Boba Fett pointing a gun. I'm like, oh whatever, that's kind of cool, Mm-hmm. And then I came to school wearing it, and some people were giving me shit. Keep in mind, it's a little redneck town, so they'll get to me. People are like, oh look at Dunigan, he's wearing a fucking Star Wars shirt. And like, well, first off, I should put together all these guys I was hanging out with at the time. So I'm like, it's fucking Star Wars. What's wrong with it? Like, oh yeah, Star Wars. Like. It's Star Wars, but it's like, we don't like it. Star Wars is okay, but you don't want to wear a fucking shirt about it. Fucking loser. And then, like, thinking back on it now, it's just like, thinking back, it's just like, I remember, like, literally, because I liked the design of Boba Fett. I remember I went home, like, I can never wear this shirt again, but I don't want it to go to waste. I remember, like, cutting Boba Fett out of it and just, like slapping it to something, because, like, because I liked it, but I didn't want to get rid of the thing entirely. But I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude?
when you get older, it's hard to comprehend that. Like, who the fuck cares?
It's like, why am I trying to impress these cocksuckers?
I remember going to, this sounds even weird. Remember me and Cisco went to Las Vegas, and then we came back, and we had fucking Siegfried and Roy t-shirts, and that was probably, when I think about this in hindsight, this is almost like where a parent needs to step in and be like, okay, you two should not be wearing Siegfried and Roy t-shirts to school.
You have like a special themed bowling team? Where
there is nothing wrong with Siegfried and Roy, but believe me, you are going to 8th grade in like, a podunk town. It is not gonna work out well. Think about it. You know what I mean? Because we go in there, it's like, first we're like, why do you got those two, like, magician fags on your shirt? That's the first thing that's going to happen.
Oh, this town.
Be like, oh, you got gays on your shirt? Like, plus this is like, think about, 15 years ago, like, you know what I mean? Like, that was almost like, that was normal speak, too. Like, you could still get away with that kind of stuff. Like, nowadays, I don't think that would happen whatsoever, because it's so, like,
that'd be 2001,
it's such a different world. Yeah, it would have been exactly probably 2001. It would have been like 9/11 time period.
Yeah.
Right before 9/11, actually.
Like, they see
would have been pre-9/11 coming in with Siegfried and Roy t-shirts.
Or if you come in with the Siegfried and Roy t-shirts, so you support the terrorists?
Yeah, exactly. Well, because here's the thing, it's like me and Cisco was like, dude, we fucking loved like Vegas Vacation, which it sounds like such a weird one for like kids be like, shit. But like when we went to Vegas, it was like, oh my god, we're going to Hoover Dam, we're going to Siegfried and Roy, we're going to the Mirage, like it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Like we're living Ocean's 11.
Yeah, it's like Ocean's 11 because that was a big deal too.
I'm just imagining like someone walking in, and this isn't me trying to be a dick. I'm literally thinking this is probably what it'd be. Someone walking in with a Siegfried and Roy t-shirt, like if you thought in the movie, that seems like a joke to be like in a Judd Apatow movie. Somebody just walks in and like no one really addresses it, but he's just wearing this shirt, like a quick little chuckle like that,
It's like something Robert Downey Jr. would wear in like Avengers.
Definitely something kind of like that.
You know what I mean? But at this time period, it was just like that weird like thing. It was like, because this is when Siegfried and Roy were still like on the top of their game at the, the Mirage and so on like that.
Is this before or after the Alien attack?
Oh, this is like way before that still.
When that happened, like 2000?
Probably mid-2000s maybe or something like that. Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm like, where the fuck is that t-shirt? Because I haven't seen that t-shirt in years. And I know there's one of those ones like I probably like, wore it and then maybe wore it at home and then probably said, well, I guess it's going into the box now. So this is kind of where it will lie.
I'm just the idea of just like two like 7th graders coming back just with this whole idea of like Siegfried and Roy. Oh my god.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's just one of those ones like I want to know because I get that shirt's got to be here because I know I probably would not have got rid of it, but it probably got buried.
Never that. You just find it framed somewhere.
Yeah, it's just probably buried somewhere in like a box of t-shirts or what have you. And yeah, I don't know, but like it's just one of those ones like that. Just seems like there's just certain things you just couldn't do. I do kind of wonder nowadays, is school more open nowadays? Because I just like when you just view some of these children, you go like, it's clearly a lot more of like a unified group. There's not nearly as much sectors anymore. I feel like, you know, the news will try to make it out that it's not like that, but I just feel comparative to like when we were in school, like I think you can do a lot more like, you know, you could wear kind of stuff to school and people be a little bit more accepting of it than I think it was when. In our day, if you weren't wearing a John Elway shirt, you were fucking not wearing anything.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, depends on the town and where you're at, probably. Accepting on in every aspect. I mean, we talked about it like a few podcasts ago. Like, there's that girl. I'm not looking to go on a political tangent here, but there's that girl who wore like a Chinese dress to prom, and a bunch of people got in a fucking uproar because they really care what a 17-year-old girl is wearing to fucking prom. Everyone had
maybe that's the new problem though. See, because back in the day, well, this is what you would get made fun of in 2001 if you came to wearing a fucking like I almost said a samurai dress, but you wear like a Chinese dress to school. People would probably be like, "What are you wearing that chink dress for?" You know, something like that. You know, they'd get up like that. They would crack jokes about it. Like it wouldn't be like maybe they might not treat it seriously, but they'd make kind of fun of you for being an American dressing like. Mm-hmm. Who do you think you are? Like that kind of way. Mm-hmm. You know, oddly enough, that's just kind of how school kids are.
But at the same time, I think it also depends on, because I've talked to multiple people that work with kids, and I kind of hear it depending, where they're at. For a little bit of time, my roommate was a substitute teacher. He said, really, dude, the kind of way the kids act really depends on the school. And yeah, you get your super preppy PC kids who are afraid to hurt anybody's feelings, and then you get the ones at this school who are just very anti-PC and almost just shock value and say fag every other word, you know? So It's one of those things where, I don't know, I think it happens, just depends where you go.
I guess that's true. It just depends on the neighborhood, depends on the teachers,
the
depends
family,
on, like, you know, there's all those factors that go into it. So I guess there's going to be good schools, bad schools. And
it's not going to be like some unified hive mind of all children, like, we all like Minecraft and we all play Fortnite.
I feel like it's getting closer to that, though. I do think those kids are getting closer and closer to being more unified.
How many kids all play?
I watched kids in a fucking, like, dance, whatever, and they all fucking got... They literally danced like it was a fucking musical. All of them were in fucking sync. It was fucking weird. I didn't know what to think about this.
Since you do a lot of musical events, I guess you do see a lot more young people.
I do. I get to study the youth sort of in this kind of way, and I just kind of see there was a major change between like our generation and this new generation.
I just imagine when you're done setting up all this stuff for like events, there's just like, where'd Spencer go? You just turn, there's like a Metal Gear Solid box in the corner, and you're just in there just jotting down notes.
Well, that seems even creepier.
I must know the enemy.
Yeah. But it's just like they literally all got up like it like during multiple songs, and they had like a dance routine. I couldn't figure this out. I was trying to, because you know, if it was just a bunch of like theater school kids, or like if it was, let's say, dance class kids, no. I mean, this was like 80% of the kids.
Well, you know,
I couldn't figure it out. Where was this coming from?
Here's the thing. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe you can correct me. I got a feeling, maybe it depends on the song. The songs, you know, kids are probably more in tune with whatever song just came out, and there's usually, a lot of times
It was an 80s song. It was Footloose. It was one of the main ones that started off, and then it went into like another song that like it balanced off too. So granted, that told me it probably was dance class. But why was there so many of them that knew this fucking dance routine?
Maybe they did it in dance class, possibly. Maybe they all took dance, like,
maybe dance class is maybe like the new, like, it's like part of like history, English, math, science. But maybe I just don't know this.
Okay,
because dance class is you didn't take dance. Let me just tell you this: in our generation, you didn't really want to be caught dead in dance class. Even if you think you want to take dance class and you knew that it'd probably be kind of fun, you still didn't want to be caught dead in dance class.
Well, here's the thing about that. Looking back, it must be one of those things like, you're taking dance class, gonna be dancing like a fucking girl. Nothing back. That's actually a smart idea to take dance classes, because there's probably way more girls in there. So in hindsight, yeah, probably a better idea. Kids take dance.
This is also the same idea that everybody had with volleyball. I think because like there was multiple groups of them there. There was ones that like, oh, there'll be a bunch of girls in volleyball. Oh, I won't have to work nearly as hard because you got a lot of the lazy kids in there. Next thing you know, it's like 90% men, 10% girls in volleyball.
I think volleyball, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I could see dance class having like more girls than guys.
Oh yeah, dance class definitely does.
Yeah. Now, maybe it's something like, you know, it's strictly ballet, then maybe that's where it's just kind of like, oh, you're going to be dancing around like that. Then maybe then it's just like that. It's going to be taking some shit.
And here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with dance class. That's like Patrick Swayze. But the thing is, as a teenager, it's just not worth it.
I don't know. You might. That's where you might have your own teen comedy movie where you meet the girl. You might.
You never know. You might not have like any other friends, but you might not be on the lacrosse team like American Pie, but
yeah, the lacrosse team back in fucking 1999 in an American high school
in like the Chicago area.
Like, all right, sure. Maybe it's a Chicago thing. Maybe it is.
It probably is. I really think because that's getting closer to Hockey Zone. So
we're also thinking back on the part where he's just like, "You're fucking singing, you're fucking singing. Oh, dude, why are you fucking singing?" It's just like, well, he ended up getting the girl in the end, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But still, that's a perfect example of right there in American Pie. That is that is what you'd have to deal with. You know what I mean? Is that somebody would bust your balls for doing something that was like not normal.
Yeah, there's that. But then there's like, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say a lot of kids. Well, it's Footloose, so I guess that's off the table. I was gonna say like maybe that's some new song and the song.
And they got a crazy dance that goes along with it.
It goes along with it, and then from there all the kids share it on fucking YouTube, on Facebook or whatever the fuck.
Maybe it is. Maybe there's some weird stuff like that. I don't know.
Maybe
it was just weird because I never saw that before as like a kid like. This unification of everybody.
Like it was a teen movie. Like what the fuck?
Well, it was almost like the cowboy guys got together with like the the preps and the gays and like the jocks and like I guess and the nerds and whoever else it was. And it was just like what?
Well, that's a big jump because back in high school around here you didn't have.
It was like there'd be like this like there'd be pockets. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. The gay pocket was maybe 3 people.
Yeah, and they didn't. You didn't even know it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They kept that like tight-lipped.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, that's what I mean. It's like it's very like open, especially for like I noticed it like with like the lesbians and stuff like that. It's like they were just clearly out there, which I think that's cool. It's like one's like, but I just think about like God, like it wasn't that long ago that you would have been hardly like you almost would have kept that very like.
Well, it says how quickly things move.
It shows how quickly that things move. That's how I look at it. And like and I bet you those kids don't even notice like they almost have no reference of like hard times. I guess you kind of feel like a Bruce Springsteen
I'm sure there's
song.
still like some
like they don't know what it would have been like back in the day. Like,
well, I think there's still probably
Well, there's always gonna be that one kid who's probably gonna be making fun of them.
And there's even I can always imagine there's always gonna be some form of like struggle when you're dealing with if you have like a if you're gay or bi or something like that. But it's just one of those things that's way more accepted now. So it's just kind of like I wonder. I was going somewhere with this, but I just totally blanked out. It's been a long day. Shit, what was it? Well, I think it's one of those things like I wonder because here's an example. Every so often, older generations get mad at younger generations about like, you got it easy. You have no idea how easy it is. I think we're at the point now where, gay folk are starting to get like, oh, you're mad that you're like, your prom's on a different day or whatever. We weren't even allowed to have a prom back when I was your age, like that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Well, because that's the thing that's like, it's so, it just almost feels like it's so natural now that I don't even think people really even know is like, and I think even if somebody made fun of you, you would have like 90% of the school like on your fucking side. Like,
yeah.
So I feel like it probably barely even happens too at the same time.
Well, and most Republicans are even kind of like, I don't even give a shit anymore.
Yeah, well that's what I mean. Like, you can walk by a bunch of cowboy guys nowadays and not have that fear of like, hey fag, what's going on? And like, well, I'm not gay. Yeah, right, you're fucking gay.
Well, by the time we're done with you.
Time after time, we wrestle you down naked and rape you. Wouldn't that make you gay?
No, you're the one getting raped.
Yeah, we ain't gay.
I just like to party.
Yeah, we just like to, once you put your dick in a pig, you ain't gay anymore. It's just, that's how the world works.
New from the pig in a blanket.
But that's just kind of how those things go and so on, but I don't know, it's interesting. It's weird just how there's like unification. I just kind of wonder if the farther it goes on will like everybody need to be like one pocket ginormous group, which
I think everything comes in waves. I think right now, without trying to go too super political, I think since, because Trump happened, you got a guy who's very divisive, so that you got people on both sides who are just being like, you got people far left who are just very, very, like, every little thing offends them, and they're going to let you know, and you got people on the far right who are saying all the offensive shit and doing all this crazy, crazy shit, like, like all the alt-right type shit. And, but then I think you got people who are, left-wing and right-wing, and they're finding out they have more things in common than people on the far end of either of their sides.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing that a lot lately. I've been seeing a lot more people kind of come together, like people that are like a little bit more neutral, like, you know, not neutral, but like I guess people who are left wing actually getting along with people who are right wing because they're not that crazy extreme on the other side.
And I'm more just saying it kind of more like kid-wise. It just kind of feels like, you know, there's not like those pockets like there once was. Like there's hippie kids and there's punk kids and there's preppy kids and there, you know, cowboy kids.
No, I'm not a fucking...
And it's not saying that, you know, there's not like, here's a kid that likes cowboy stuff and here's a kid that likes video game stuff. But it feels like it's a little bit more like interwoven, if that makes sense.
Want to know something I do notice? I noticed that some things, like, because there was a time when you couldn't come out saying you like video games or comic books or anime.
Yeah, you literally had to keep that in the closet for a long time.
But now that stuff's a lot more understand and mainstream. Because before it'd be one of those things like a nerdy ass kid can like that shit, and that was part of his identity.
But he had to go stand over in the far corner by the library, make sure he didn't be in the way of anybody's public view.
There's that kind of, but then there's that thing where, you know, like, well, this is part of his identity. But now that shit is so popular.
Does he not have an identity anymore?
So now it's like, well, everybody likes that shit, so you best learn to do some push-ups, and you best start learning, like, you best find another skill, because there's a point where you could get where not everybody can get away with that, but I mean, there was a point where I remember that was those guys. You might find those outside of that bubble, like, not everybody was a dumb, fumbling nerd, but there definitely were those guys who, that's all they knew. That's all they understood, but they could find people like them. And now that shit is becoming more mainstream, you get some people that get really defensive about that.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just it's a weird like study in like just kind of the world around, just wondering like what it's like. Just go grab a kid off the street, like fucking like we need to interview you really quickly. Like, what's it like out there?
Tell us the ways of the youth.
Yeah. Well, what's it like being 15 years old nowadays? I don't know. It's okay, I guess. You guess? Like, don't you have a definitive answer? What's this I guess shit? Come on! Would you want to work in a factory your entire life? Who works in factories anymore? I thought that was for robots.
He's onto us. Barrel! Push it over. Run out.
But yeah. Well, that's always a topic that can go into for hours upon hours probably and really be researched. An interesting place, if anything like that. But maybe we'll wrap it all up right here, getting a little bit late in the night. Check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, comics, you know, and what have you. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Be sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics, animations, videos, and a whole lot more. You can easily support the show by buying something from one of our Amazon links on the website or in the show's description itself. Doesn't cost you a penny, but every single thing you buy from there just by using that link to take you to Amazon helps us out a bit. You can also really help the show out, though, by spreading the word the good old-fashioned way. And rate and review us on all the sites that you find this podcast. Anything from iTunes to Podbean to Newgrounds, YouTube, you name it. Any little bit helps. Give a sub and share it to your friends, family, any jamoke you see out on the street. You let them know about Old Man Orange podcast. And be sure to check out the Old Man Orange comic book Pizza Boys on both Amazon and Comixology. Till then, we'll see you some other time.